Itachi Uchiha was born in a world rife with conflict. A world where the ideals of loyalty, honor, and sacrifice were tested from the moment life began. In the quiet moments of his early childhood, even before the heavy burden of destiny fell upon his small shoulders, there was a fragile light in his eyes, a spark of insight that would one day illuminate the dark corridors of a turbulent history. As the son of the prestigious Uchiha Clan, Itachi was born into an existence where every heartbeat echoed the legacy of ancient warriors. The gentle murmur of the village, the soft rustling of the leaves in the hidden leaf village, and the distant calls of those going about daily life formed the background music of his early years, years that seemed both ordinary and imbued with a quiet portent of the extraordinary fate ahead. From his earliest memories, Itachi was surrounded by a culture steeped in tradition and duty. Every lesson, every whispered word in the quiet study halls of the Uchiha clan spoke of honor and of sacrifice for the good of the family. Yet, even as a young child, there was something in Itachi's gaze, a depth of understanding that belied his tender age. The elders would observe him in silence, noting how his eyes, dark and thoughtful, seemed to absorb both the joys and the sorrows of those around him. There was a gentleness in his manner, a sensitivity that would later become both his strength and his curse. In those early days, as the sun dipped low over the village and the evening air grew cool with promise, Itachi found solace in the quiet corners of the world, listening to the soft cadence of nature, feeling the heartbeat of life in every rustle of the wind, and cherishing moments of serene beauty amid the perennial struggles that defined the shinobi life. Itachi's journey toward the path of a ninja began long before he donned the uniforms of his clan. In the soft twilight of his childhood, when the world still held the innocence of dreams not yet shattered, he learned the basics of discipline and perseverance. The rigorous training under the watchful eyes of elder Uchiha taught him that strength was not measured in the force of an attack alone, but in the quiet resolve that steadied the soul in the face of adversity. Every lesson was absorbed like a tender murmur of a lullaby, a promise that with each day he would become more than the sum of his parts. And though these early lessons were wrapped in warmth and care, they also carried the subtle warning of sacrifice, a reminder that greatness often comes at a cost. As Itachi grew, the ideals of duty and loyalty began to take on a weight that few could truly understand. The Uchiha were known throughout the village for their power, a power born from the sacred Sharingan, a gift passed down from generations long past. Itachi, even as he learned to master the basics of ninjutsu and genjutsu, displayed a natural aptitude for this unique ocular ability. His eyes, reflective pools of a deep, almost sorrowful wisdom, shone with the potential to see through illusions and mend broken hearts. Yet, with each passing day, as he honed his skills with patient determination, he also became painfully aware of the cost of power, the way that every new ability gleaned came with an unspoken promise of sacrifice and loneliness. The gentle cadence of Itachi's thoughts was slowly overtaken by the grim realities of his world. The political turbulence and underlying tensions that simmered within the hidden leaf village began to cast long shadows even over the brightest moments of his youth. Itachi's clan, though revered for their prowess, found themselves caught in the ceaseless struggle of loyalty to a system that prized power above all else. Whispers of clan conflict and the heavy murmur of dissent began to taint the otherwise tranquil rhythm of village life. In these troubled days, Itachi's innate sensitivity deepened into a quiet understanding of the world's inherent sorrows, a realization that the path of duty was paved with heartbreak and sacrifice. Though his heart remained gentle, Itachi's mind grew keenly aware of the bitter realities of shinobi life. With each new lesson, he witnessed the sacrifices demanded by their way of life, the silent toll taken on those who bore the burden of protecting others. His teachers would often recount tales of legendary battles and the sacrifices of heroes, their words etched into his memory like soft etchings on ancient parchment. In the dim light of the training grounds, as his comrades laughed and playfully sparred, Itachi often found himself alone with his thoughts, pondering the heavy price of duty, the fleeting nature of innocence, and the inescapable truth that sometimes, in order to protect the many, the few must endure unbearable sorrow. As time wore on, Itachi's prodigious talent continued to blossom, drawing both admiration and trepidation from those who recognized that his destiny lay on a different, more somber path. The intricate web of loyalty within the Uchiha clan began to show its brittle edges as familial bonds and personal ideals clashed with the relentless march of duty. Itachi's interactions with his peers grew increasingly measured, his words imbued with a melancholy wisdom that seemed to foretell the coming darkness. Each gentle smile he offered was tinged with a quiet resignation, a silent acknowledgement that his fate was already bound by the heavy chains of sacrifice. And though the village around him thrived in the soft glow of camaraderie and youthful exuberance, a subtle undercurrent of foreboding began to seep into the fabric of his existence. The turning point for Itachi was not marked by a single cataclysmic event, but rather by a series of small, almost imperceptible moments, each one adding a layer of sorrow and resolve to his soul. One such moment came during a quiet evening when he witnessed the toll that the endless cycles of conflict had taken on those he loved. The soft murmurs of grief and the silent, shared looks of despair among his clan members resonated deeply within him. In that tender moment of collective sorrow, Itachi realized that the world they lived in was marred by a darkness that could not be dispelled by mere strength alone. Rather, it demanded a sacrifice, a letting go of everything he held dear in order to protect a greater, silent hope for the future. The weight of that realization settled upon him like a heavy, unyielding cloak. And from that day forward, Itachi vowed to walk a path that few would dare to tread. A path that required the ultimate sacrifice, a choice that would forever alter not only his own destiny, but the fate of those around him. The decision was not made in haste. It was the culmination of countless moments of introspection, quiet conversations whispered in secret corridors, and the gentle, relentless tug of duty that could not be ignored. Itachi's heart, though filled with the soft light of compassion, began to darken with the heavy understanding that true peace might only be achieved through profound pain and sacrifice. It was during these long, solitary nights that Itachi's inner turmoil grew, as he wrestled with the duality of his existence. His mind became a quiet battleground where the ideals of love and sacrifice fought ceaselessly against the harsh realities of a world steeped in conflict. The gentle solace of nature, the soft rustling of leaves, the murmuring of a distant stream, the hushed cadence of the night, offered him only fleeting moments of respite from the heavy burden of his destiny. In the stillness of the twilight, as he gazed upon the stars scattered like fragile hopes across the heavens, Itachi felt the profound isolation of a soul destined to bear the sorrow of the world. There was a deep, resonant loneliness in his heart, a silence that spoke louder than the boisterous laughter of his peers. And it was in that silence that he began to understand the true meaning of sacrifice. Itachi's rise through the ranks was both swift and shattering, a quiet storm that swept through the Hidden Leaf village with the inevitability of fate. His skill in combat, his mastery of genjutsu, and his profound insight into the human soul set him apart as a prodigy, an individual whose very presence seemed to carry the weight of ancient tragedies. As he joined the ranks of the elite ANBU, the shadowy organization entrusted with the village's most secret and dangerous missions, Itachi's gentle yet determined gaze took on a new dimension. No longer was he simply a child with dreams of a brighter future. He had become a silent guardian, a stoic sentinel tasked with protecting a fragile peace, even as the world around him teetered on the brink of chaos. Every mission he undertook in the dark corridors of the ANBU was a delicate balance between duty and heartache, a quiet reaffirmation of the sacrifices he was forced to make in order to maintain the illusion of peace. The experiences he encountered in those shadowed days etched themselves into his soul, leaving behind scars that were invisible to the eye, but indelible upon the heart. In the hushed tones of midnight meetings and the silent camaraderie of his peers, Itachi began to see that the true enemy was not a tangible foe, but the insidious corruption that gnawed at the very foundation of the world he sought to protect. And so, as the gentle night deepened and the soft murmur of distant conflicts mingled with the quiet rustle of the village at rest, Itachi made a fateful choice, a decision that would shatter the bonds of brotherhood and cast him into the annals of legend as both a hero and a tragic figure. With a heavy heart and tear-stained resolve, he willed himself to take on the unbearable burden of sacrifice, a burden that would demand of him a loneliness so profound that it would forever alter the course of his life. The path he chose was fraught with agonizing compromise, a quiet testament to the ruthless logic that sometimes governs the human soul. In that solitary, fateful moment, Itachi's gentle eyes hardened with a steely determination, an unspoken promise that he would endure whatever cost was necessary for the sake of peace. Thus began the tragic saga of Itachi Uchiha, a tale of quiet heroism and unyielding sacrifice, where every whispered word, every silent tear, became a part of an eternal narrative. Itachi's journey was one of contradictions, a tender soul forced to become a silent executioner, a loving brother condemned to walk a path of inevitable sorrow, and a brilliant mind burdened by the weight of secrets that would one day shake the very foundations of the world. His life would be marked by the delicate interplay of light and darkness, a soft luminescence that flickered in the depths of his eyes, even as the shadows of destiny closed in around him. As you let these words sink into the quiet recesses of your mind, imagine the soft, unyielding weight of each decision, each sacrifice that Itachi made along his lonely path. Picture a young warrior standing at the crossroads of destiny, the cool night air filled with the silent murmur of ancient winds and the distant glow of stars that seemed to weep for the lost dreams of a peaceful future. The gentle cadence of his footsteps, measured and resolute, echoes through the ages, a timeless testament to the sacrifices demanded by a world that too often values power above love, duty above compassion. In the stillness of that moment, as the darkness deepens and the soft rustling of leaves becomes the only sound in a world brimming with unspoken pain, Itachi's story unfolds like a quiet epic, a narrative that weaves together threads of heartbreak, resolve, and the enduring hope for redemption. His gentle spirit, though burdened by unspeakable loss, continued to shine with a light that was both fragile and fiercely determined. Every word he spoke, every smile he offered in fleeting moments of connection, was a promise, a silent vow that even in the midst of overwhelming sorrow, there was the possibility of forgiveness, of a future where the wounds of the past might be healed. And so, in the gentle pause before the darkness of sleep envelops you, let the soft echoes of Itachi Uchiha's saga fill your thoughts. A saga of honor, sacrifice, and quiet redemption that has resonated through the corridors of time. His legacy, carved not in grand gestures, but in the tender moments of introspection and the soft resolve to protect what little light remained in a world overshadowed by conflict, invites us all to believe that even the deepest sorrow can yield the seeds of hope. Itachi's path grew even more shadowed as the days passed in the hidden leaf, and the weight of destiny pressed heavier upon his gentle soul. The once innocent dreams of his early childhood had gradually given way to a quiet resignation to a fate that demanded a sacrifice greater than he had ever imagined. In the silent corridors of the village, under the pale light of a waning moon, Itachi witnessed the painful fractures of a society built upon duty and hidden grievances. Every whispered conversation, every furtive glance between clan members wove a tapestry of quiet despair that seeped into his thoughts like ink into parchment. There were moments when the soft murmur of the village life, children laughing in distant courtyards, the rustle of paper as scrolls were unrolled, would offer him fleeting solace. Yet even in those moments of brief reprieve, he felt the stirrings of a deep and unyielding sorrow, as if every heartbeat carried the memory of a loss yet to come. In time, the gentle teachings of his elders gave way to the harsher realities of shinobi life. Itachi began to understand that true strength was not measured solely by the mastery of powerful jutsu or the intensity of the Sharingan's gaze, but by the sacrifices that one was forced to make in the name of duty. He watched as the lines between right and wrong blurred within the power struggles that raged in the shadows of the village, and he sensed that even the purest ideals could be tainted by the cruel necessities of survival. With each passing day, he delved deeper into the mysteries of his clan's legacy, determined to find meaning amid the chaos. The gentle spark in his eyes that once shimmered with hope now carried the weight of understanding. And the secrets of the Uchiha, the hidden truths behind their legendary power, and the curse of the Sharingan, began to unfold before him like the petals of a dark flower. Itachi's inner turmoil grew with the slow inevitability of the tide. The delicate balance between his compassionate heart and the cold burden of responsibility became a quiet war within his mind. Memories of moments shared with his family, of happy laughter and tender smiles, contrasted sharply with the ever-present specter of duty and the sacrifices demanded by a world steeped in conflict. There were nights when alone, under the silent watch of 1,000 stars, he would find himself silently questioning whether the sacrifices he was making were truly worth the price of peace. The gentle rustling of the leaves in the evening breeze seemed to echo the voices of those who had already paid the price, and the darkness that encroached on his mind grew ever more profound. Even as the village celebrated the camaraderie of its people and the promise of a brighter future, Itachi found himself increasingly isolated by the secret burdens he carried. His interactions with close friends and mentors, once filled with the innocent joy of shared aspirations, became measured and sorrowful exchanges, laden with unspoken regrets. The strain of responsibility was evident in the steady set of his jaw and the quiet determination in his eyes. In those moments, when laughter gave way to solemn silence, Itachi understood that destiny often demanded a path paved in solitude. The gentle cadence of his footsteps through the corridors of the hidden leaf became a constant reminder of the sacrifices that lay ahead. The soft whisper of every breeze seemed to carry with it the memory of what had been lost and what could never be reclaimed. As Itachi matured, his reputation as a prodigy grew, and with it, the silent expectations of an entire clan weighed heavily on his shoulders. His skill in battle, particularly his unmatched mastery of genjutsu, became both a blessing and a curse. While his peers marveled at the depth of his insight and the serene power of his gaze, few could fathom the inner turmoil that drove him. Every time he activated the Sharingan, there came a fleeting moment of clarity, a glimpse into a reality that was as harsh as it was beautiful. Yet, with that insight came an even greater cost, the creeping intrusion of darkness that threatened to overshadow his very soul. In the quiet, unspoken moments before battle, as he closed his eyes and steadied his breathing, Itachi would silently vow to himself that no matter the cost, he would protect those who depended on him. That vow, whispered like a soft prayer into the night, became the quiet heartbeat of his journey, a steady promise to shield his loved ones from the cruelty of fate. But fate, as it often does, led Itachi down a path filled with even greater sorrow. In the midst of the simmering tensions within the village, as the once unified clan began to crack under the pressures of hidden agendas and unspoken resentments, Itachi found himself standing at a crossroads. He was forced to confront the bitter truth that the ideals he had once cherished might be nothing more than illusions. The once gentle convictions of his youth were now tempered by the realization that sometimes, to protect the greater good, one must endure unspeakable sacrifices. In the solitude of his secret chambers, surrounded only by the soft glow of candlelight and the distant echoes of a world in turmoil, Itachi began to craft the silent resolve that would come to define him. His decision, made not in a single moment of dramatic defiance, but in countless quiet moments of introspection, set him on a path of irrevocable loneliness, a path that would mark him as both a tragic hero and a burdened soul. The decision weighed on him like a somber refrain, a melody of loss and resignation that played on repeat in the deepest corners of his mind. It was not a decision made with malice, but one born of a desperate determination to spare his home from an even greater sorrow. In that hushed silence, Itachi resolved to become the bearer of a secret that would forever change the course of the village's destiny. A secret that required him to sacrifice the warmth of familial love for the sake of a fragile, distant hope. The cost of that choice was immense. It shattered the bonds of brotherhood and love, leaving behind only the cold resolve of a man who would become both revered and reviled. As the days turned into nights, and the seasons changed with a quiet inevitability, Itachi's actions began to ripple through the fabric of the hidden leaf. His choices, though deeply personal, resonated far beyond his own soul. The very air seemed to carry whispers of his sorrow, and the quiet determination that drove him forward. A determination that would eventually lead him to join the mysterious and secretive ranks of the ANBU. In those shadowed missions, where every whispered command and every silent step was a deliberate act of duty, Itachi's gentle eyes, reflecting both sorrow and unwavering resolve, became a symbol of the unbearable burden of truth. His every action, measured and tempered by a profound sense of sacrifice, spoke of a heart that had been cleaved in two, forever torn between the gentle desire to protect and the harsh inevitability of the path he had chosen. In the midst of all this turmoil, the gentle spirit of Itachi began to evolve into a quiet legend, a figure whose mere presence inspired awe and a deep, reflective sorrow. The once vibrant laughter of childhood gave way to a solemn silence, punctuated only by the measured cadence of his words and the soft, unwavering glow of his eyes. Every whispered conversation with his closest confidants, every tender farewell shared in secret corridors, was imbued with the unspoken understanding that his destiny was set. It was a destiny that would demand from him the ultimate sacrifice, a sacrifice of love, of family, and of every cherished hope that had once lit his heart like a fragile, flickering flame. Even as the hidden leaf around him strove to cling to the delicate threads of unity and peace, Itachi's inner world was a quiet storm, a tumultuous blend of heartbreak and steely resolve. The gentle poetry of his soul, expressed in soft, measured words, and the quiet turn of his gaze, belied the immense sorrow that surged within him. In every reflective moment, every silent tear shed in the stillness of the night, he was reminded of the costs of loyalty and the crushing inevitability of fate. The tender memories of laughter, shared moments with those he loved, and the warmth of familial bonds became distant echoes, a bittersweet symphony that accompanied him on his solitary journey toward an uncertain future. Now, as the gentle night deepened and the soft murmur of the village faded into a quiet lull, Itachi found himself at the precipice of a choice that would forever alter the course of history. With each passing day, the internal battle between protecting his loved ones and sacrificing them for a greater good raged on like a silent war within his heart. The painful realizations that blossomed within him, nurtured by the quiet tragedies of his past, forged a resolve that would soon lead to his fateful decision. In that moment of profound clarity, as the cool night air mingled with the soft rhythm of his steady breath, Itachi vowed to embrace a destiny cloaked in sorrow, a destiny that demanded solitude, sacrifice, and an unyielding commitment to a secret that could not be shared with those he held dear. Itachi's choice was not born of malice or despair, but of an almost unbearable sense of duty. A duty to safeguard the fragile peace of his home, even if it meant bearing an unbearable weight alone. The soft whisper of the wind through the hidden leaf, the gentle rustle of paper as ancient scrolls were unrolled, and the quiet echoes of old conversations all bore silent witness to the unfolding of a tragedy that would mark him as both savior and martyr. Every moment that passed carried the memory of a promise to protect, a promise that could only be kept by walking alone in the darkness, far from the warmth of companionship and the solace of shared dreams. Thus, in the quiet despair of that somber night, Itachi's journey took a turn that no one could have foreseen, a turn that would eventually lead him into the fabled darkness of the ANBU and beyond, into a realm where the shadows of loyalty and betrayal blurred into a single, silent truth. His footsteps, soft and measured, began to trace the lonely path of a man destined to become a quiet legend. A legend of gentle heroism and sorrowful sacrifice that would resonate through the ages. And as the gentle sounds of the hidden leaf waned into the stillness of the night, Itachi's heart, heavy with the quiet agony of his secret, beat on steadily. A steady rhythm of determination, regret, and an unspoken hope that, despite everything, there might one day be a redemption for the broken promises of the past. Itachi's journey through the darkness grew ever more profound as the days turned into years, and the gentle light of innocence was replaced by the cold glow of duty and loss. The soft murmur of the hidden leaf, once filled with the laughter of carefree youth, now served as an ever-present reminder of the heavy price that must be paid to protect a fragile peace. In the long, shadowed corridors of the village, and in the stillness of secret meetings held under the cover of night, Itachi's heart continued to beat with a measured determination. A determination that resonated in every silent step he took toward an ever more somber destiny. In the quiet confines of the ANBU, where the secrets of the village were guarded as if they were treasures beyond price, Itachi found himself immersed in missions that demanded not only skill, but an unyielding resolve to act even when every action further isolated him from those he loved. The tasks assigned to him, executed in the hushed whispers of darkness and with a precision that bordered on the supernatural, revealed a side of him that was both brilliant and heart-wrenching. Beneath the calm exterior, his mind was a storm of conflicting emotions, a mixture of sorrow for the innocence lost and the heavy burden of decisions made in the name of duty. Every covert operation, every silently executed strike against foes hidden in the shadows, etched deeper lines of solitude into his soul, as if the very act of protecting the village demanded that his heart be locked away from the warmth of familial love. During these long, solitary nights, as Itachi sat alone with his thoughts beneath the cold gaze of the moon, his inner voice would speak softly of dreams that once were. He remembered the gentle laughter of children and the quiet smiles shared with his comrades, now distant echoes in a world defined by sacrifice. The realization that the path he trod, so full of silent heroism and quiet despair, was one that demanded eternal isolation, began to seep into the core of his being. Every time the soft glow of the Sharingan illuminated his eyes, there was a moment of painful clarity when he perceived the cost of the power he wielded, the relentless erosion of the light in his heart. And yet, in the very midst of this torment, Itachi's resolve only grew stronger. In the hushed moments before the dawn, as the world lay wrapped in a blanket of quiet anticipation, he would silently rehearse his oath, a promise to himself that no matter the loneliness or the sorrow, he would fulfill his duty to protect the greater good. His voice, barely a whisper in the stillness of the early hours, carried the weight of his determination. Each soft, deliberate word was a testament to the idea that sometimes one must surrender personal happiness for the sake of 1,000 lives. This quiet conviction, nurtured in the darkness of his soul, became the steady rhythm that guided him through every mission, every encounter with foes, and every secret act of sacrifice. In the midst of the rigid discipline of ANBU life, Itachi's every action was measured and deliberate, yet his heart beat with an almost unbearable longing for a world that might never be. As his missions grew more dangerous and the stakes of his covert operations rose higher, the blurred line between duty and personal desire became ever more pronounced. His interactions with those few who knew of the truth were brief, punctuated by the transient warmth of a shared understanding that vanished as quickly as it appeared. There were fleeting moments when he allowed himself to recall the soft memories of childhood, a time when the laughter of his family and the gentle caress of a summer breeze filled him with hope. But those memories were always overpowered by the oppressive reality that the life he had chosen demanded an unbreakable commitment, an eternal sacrifice that left no room for the tenderness of old dreams. Amid the chaos of covert operations and the whispered intrigues of the village's dark underbelly, the weight of Itachi's secret grew ever heavier. It was a burden that no one could fully comprehend, a silent agony that echoed in the recesses of his soul with every step he took along his solitary path. His gentle eyes, so full of quiet wisdom, carried within them the sorrow of unspoken sacrifices and the regret of choices that could never be undone. With every operation that concluded in shadows, and every victory that tasted of bittersweet necessity, the luminous spark of his once hopeful heart seemed to flicker and wane, replaced by a solemn acceptance of the price of peace. In the stillness of countless nights, as he sat beneath the vast expanse of a star-lit sky, Itachi would often find himself lost in thought, pondering the nature of duty, the cruelty of fate, and the quiet dignity of those who walked the path of sacrifice. The soft rustle of the wind through the leaves, the distant cry of a lone bird in the dark, all melded into a haunting melody of loss and resolve. He questioned whether the gentle dreams of his youth had been sacrificed on the altar of duty, and whether the endless cycle of conflict was a fate that no soul could truly escape. Yet even in these moments of deepest despair, a fragile hope persisted, a whisper of the idea that one day his sacrifices might pave the way for a brighter future, even if that future remained an elusive vision in the twilight of his existence. Time, like the relentless tide, wore on, and Itachi's reputation as a prodigy grew. His exceptional mastery of genjutsu, the art of illusion, became renowned, a quiet force that could render even the strongest adversaries helpless with a mere glance. His ability to weave intricate illusions out of light and shadow became a signature of his prowess, a soft, shimmering testament to the depth of his understanding. And yet, with every new display of this delicate power, there also came a stark reminder that every illusion, no matter how beautiful, was a temporary escape from a harsh reality. The price of such brilliance was a ceaseless loneliness, a fate in which every glimpse of fleeting beauty was tinged with the bitter knowledge that it could never last. In the deep recesses of his mind, amidst the silence of unspoken tears and the quiet echo of memories, Itachi's inner struggle reached a fevered pitch. He stood at the crossroads of love and duty, burdened by the impossibility of saving everyone, knowing that his very existence might be the only shield against a storm that threatened to engulf his home. The knowledge that his actions would cast an ever-longing shadow upon the people he cared for was a secret he bore silently, a hidden grief that no one else could share. In that solitary confinement of the soul, every decision became a poignant reminder of the sacrifices demanded by a life of unyielding commitment. Itachi's inner battle was not one fought with the clashing of steel or the furious dance of jutsu, but with the quiet determination to accept a fate that few could fathom. In the still of the night, as the soft murmur of the hidden leaf faded into a distant lull, he resolved that the path he must walk would be one of eternal solitude, a path where every step forward would be taken with the knowledge that he was the only guardian of a fragile, illusory peace. His quiet resignation, uttered in whispered breaths and expressed in the soft glimmer of his eyes, was a testament to a heart that had been irrevocably divided between the love of his past and the harsh necessity of his future. The world around Itachi continued to turn, indifferent to the silent torment that churned within him. Daily life in the village carried on with a gentle rhythm, as if unaware of the profound sacrifices made in the shadows. Yet, every so often, the stillness of the night would be broken by the faint sound of footsteps echoing in empty corridors, a sound that spoke of burdens carried in silence and a determination that refused to be undone. In those moments, the soft rhythm of his heart became a solitary melody, a gentle reminder that in the vast tapestry of fate, even the smallest act of rebellion was a defiant cry against the relentless pull of destiny. As the boundaries between duty and personal despair blurred into one continuous stream of silent resolve, Itachi's journey took on a mythic quality, a legend formed not by grand gestures or resounding victories, but by the quiet persistence of a soul determined to bear the weight of an impossible truth. His every move, every carefully measured word, became a fragment of a story that would be whispered through the ages, a story of sacrifice, sorrow, and the enduring belief that even in the darkness, there is a chance for redemption. His life was a tapestry of soft-spoken heroism and muted tragedy, woven together by moments of quiet introspection and the gentle heartbeat of a resolve that defied the very notion of despair. In the somber glow of countless nights, when the world was hushed by the weight of unspoken truths, Itachi's footsteps echoed softly along the endless corridors of fate. Every step was a prayer for a future where the gentle light of hope might one day dispel the lingering shadows of regret. In the soft silence of that eternal night, his soul became a beacon, a quiet, unwavering light that shone in defiance of the darkness that threatened to consume everything. And though the path ahead was shrouded in uncertainty, the gentle rhythm of his resolve continued to beat with a steadfast determination, a promise to protect a broken world, even if it meant that his own heart would be forever scarred. Itachi's journey, forged in the crucible of sacrifice and immortalized in the quiet sorrow of his decisions, reaches its final, somber crescendo as the day gives way to the long, starlit night. The soft murmur of the hidden leaf fades into a gentle hush, while the weight of years and the burden of secrets settle like a delicate mist over the village. In the final hours of his tumultuous saga, Itachi's inner world is awash with memories of laughter and light, of shared dreams and tender moments that were once as warm as the summer sun. Now, those memories mingle with the silent tears of remorse and an acceptance of the fate that he has chosen to bear alone. In the stillness of a moonlit night, when the world around him is shrouded in a comforting blanket of quiet darkness, Itachi finds himself reflecting on the path that has brought him to this point. Every step he has taken, every act of sacrifice made in secrecy, reverberates through his mind like the soft echo of a distant bell. In the gentle cadence of his thoughts, the voices of those he once loved and the silent whispers of lost futures interlace to form a mournful yet tender lament for what might have been. He recalls the gentle embrace of familial warmth and the shared smiles that once lit the corridors of his childhood, a stark contrast to the cold solitude that has come to define his existence. In these final moments, as the soft glow of the stars casts a diffused light upon the world, Itachi's spirit seems to waver between the fragile remnants of hope and the inexorable march of duty. The choices he made, a relentless commitment to a path of solitude intended to protect the greater good, have carved a deep, unyielding line through the very core of his being. It is a path that demanded not only the strength of body and mind, but the quiet surrender of his own heart's joy. The gentle strain of regret and the soft echo of sacrifices past now form a lullaby, a somber melody that speaks of the eternal cost of peace and the unbreakable bonds of duty. As Itachi's eyes, burdened by the constant influx of poignant memories, finally close to the soft lull of the night, the gentle rhythm of his heartbeat is a quiet metronome, marking the passage of a life spent in service to an inescapable destiny. In this final chapter of his story, the world around him seems to pause, as if holding its breath to honor the weight of his sacrifice. The once bright ember of his youthful hope has transformed into a subdued, steadfast glow. A singular light that burns with the quiet conviction that even the most excruciating loss can pave the way for a future built on subtle, enduring change. In the dim light of his final vigil, Itachi contemplates the paradox of his existence, that the very gift of his legendary Sharingan, which granted him unparalleled insight, became the channel through which he bore the curse of endless sacrifice. Each activation of that mystical power carried with it the echo of every unfulfilled promise, every whispered prayer for redemption, and every moment when compassion was sacrificed on the altar of duty. In those quiet moments of reflection, the soft resonance of his inner thoughts mingles with the gentle rustling of the wind through ancient trees, forming a serene chorus that speaks silently of both pain and perseverance. Itachi's internal struggle reaches its gentle climax as he envisions a future where the light of truth might one day dispel the perpetual twilight of a world governed by sorrow. Though his chosen path has left him isolated, his every breath is imbued with the quiet dignity of one who understands that the burden he carries is the seed of a profound transformation, a transformation that may, in time, heal the wounds of a fractured world. His memories of a tender childhood, where hope was as abundant as the laughter of his loved ones, now serve as poignant reminders of what was sacrificed for the sake of a peace that could never be tainted. Even as his heart aches beneath the weight of these memories, there is a soft, unwavering resolve in his final murmurs, a promise that the sacrifices of his past will one day be honored by a future reborn in the gentle light of truth and understanding. In that quiet, reflective space between the twilight of wakefulness and the embrace of sleep, Itachi's soul whispers a final benediction, a gentle vow that all the sacrifices, all the heartbreak, will not have been in vain. His life, a tapestry of quiet heroism woven with threads of melancholy and sacrifice, stands as a timeless reminder that even in the deepest gloom, there remains a fragile spark of hope. As the gentle night deepens and the soft glow of the moonlight washes over a sleeping world, Itachi's legacy becomes one of both sorrow and quiet triumph, a narrative of a man who chose to bear the unbearable so that, perhaps one day, the wounded hearts of the world might finally find solace. The echoes of Itachi's soft-spoken resolve, his measured words of both regret and determination, drift like feathers on the cool night air, each one a silent testament to the inescapable nature of sacrifice and the enduring power of the human spirit. Even as the world sleeps, unaware of the quiet battles fought in the shadows, his story endures as a gentle lullaby, a soft, enduring reminder that the greatest act of love can sometimes be the willingness to remain alone, to stand as the final guardian of a truth too painful for many to face. Now, as the final pages of this quiet epic turn into the soft silence of the night. Let the gentle cadence of Itachi's story merge with the soft murmur of your own breath. Let the tender, melancholic hope of his journey wrap around you like a comforting embrace. In that serene darkness, may the quiet memory of his sacrifices and the soft promise of redemption guide you into a world where even the heaviest burdens can lead to a new beginning, a future where, amid the silent echoes of a turbulent past, the gentle light of hope continues to shine eternal. And so, as you surrender to the peaceful tendrils of sleep, let your dreams be filled with the quiet majesty of a world forever changed by the gentle, enduring spirit of Itachi Uchiha, a spirit that whispers of sacrifice, love, and the soft promise that even the deepest sorrow can give birth to the purest hope.